Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you are looking at us from. Today, the team asked me to speak about an experience we had and have in Milan with a house and a brand belonging to a family, which is the brand eTRO. It's always been, for us, for me, a brand who has an echo of luxury hippie in a way, inspiration of all the colors of the world. There was something about cashmere in the shape of the leaves, but also something which was about the whole different culture mixed in Italian vision of luxury. So when Carlo, the new communication director, gave me a call to say, I'm here and I would like you to come with me to modernize the show and they'll bring a new fresh air to the shows themselves and these images. It was a very interesting challenge. Here, you can really see that the work of direction is more related to a brand image than to a collection itself. I had several discussions with Carlo. He was explaining to me how he understood the brand, where he wanted to bring the brand, the shape, what was for him the negative part, what was for him the positive part, and where we could insist. But everything like that was either very product, either very abstract. Again, when you say mix of worldwide culture, it has a specific taste for that brand, eTRO. So the first show we made, in my head was the feeling of mixing color, also of something simple, a little bit childhood, to make it, and something about simple in sense of also hippies, in the sense of hippies show that you could do anything yourself. And that the way I was looking on the signification of that name. Freedom and no limit. Freedom in the freedom of thinking and freedom of doing, but you can do by your hands. You don't need an industry. So I came with different ideas until we found a space. This space was a space that Carlo proposed to us, not that we found, because it was the garage when he was parking his car, just nearby the office. So we went to the garage, I went to Milan and saw the space, which was really rough. It was a parking lot where people were working on cars here and there, but it was more, it was not even industrial. It was how it was, concrete, different things on the wall, a bit messy. So I said, okay, but then we shouldn't make it clean. We shouldn't make it a white box. We should take it as it is. And then looking to the space, I thought, why don't we draw on the floor the whole world, the map monde of the world? Why don't we draw each country, or mostly each continent, with a different color? And so we have a vision of all the people who would be around. They are more from more near Africa, they are more near Antarctica, they are more, so you can see the world like that, but it's on the floor in colors. It will look like made by Charles. It's very, just the line. It will be not childhood, but fresh. And so we made the show like that. You can imagine that the rehearsal was a bit complicated to have the models walking on the shop, because the goal was that at the end of the real show, when all the models together will come, they will mix all the color together. So during the show, the color, by walking on the shark, on the floor, will melt one color to the other, to have this signification of no custom. There is no custom, there is no limit. There's local culture, but local culture has to exchange their own specificity as the color, exchange their own specificity, creating another color, but also keeping their own colors. It was this symbolic way. And so when the show happened, and when the finale went, and when Keane came to make the salutation, it was a moment where the floor was more something abstract, like a dripping of color. After this, I begin to being welcome inside the house, inside the building itself. And coming to a meeting with Carlo, I saw on the wall in the corridor amazing portrait paintings on the walls. 19th century, early 20th, 18th century. And I began to thought that, yes, there is something about eTRO and in Italian culture, international culture too, where the portrait could have a meaning. And so, when I spoke with Keane about it, he brought me to another office where there was amazing portrait, and another office where there was sculpture, and explained to me that their parents created, and grandparents, a huge collection of art, and really support a lot of artists, which create this taste again and flower of culture in a generous way. So when I had to propose a concept, I said, why don't we try to take a certain number of paintings, and these paintings, we put them on the walls as it was a house with all this accumulation of paintings, and then we have also ivy growing on the column, existing column, and on the beams in concrete of the space, as if nature was eating the space. It was a feeling of these images of a palazzo in Cuba, where the thing was abandoned. Also, a beautiful palazzo in Sicilia, which were a bit falling down, but there is still furniture. There's still the piano. But here we just keep the paintings. They really liked it. And when I remember, I was looking to one wall and mostly to one painting. And she told me, why are you looking to that one? I said, well, if you want, I would agree to steal that one, and you offer it to me. And he looked at me and said, I cannot even sell it to you. That's my grandmother. It was quite funny. And so the show happened, and the show gave another vibe to the collection. We didn't make an arena. We made several runways. So at the same time, you have the audience and you have the portrait. I did the portrait. Men and women were looking to the models and to the audience. And so you have this movement of color made by the models, but you have also this movement of color made by all these paintings. We had the feeling that all these people painted were looking at us. It was very emotional. After that show, pandemic arrived. We thought, with all the team, what can we do to support the houses? The fashion houses with whom we are working, because they need to communicate, they need to make shooting, they need to make photos, and they need to make shows. So we had the idea to send letters to maybe 30, 40 hotels in Paris, in the south of France, and tell them, well, you're closed. There is spaces here like swimming pool or the presidential suite or even the hall, or you have gardens, which normally you always have clients, so we cannot make any shows. We cannot really take photos, or it's too expensive. Now they're empty. Would you like to help us? We can do it almost for free. I mean, you don't really rent us. You just give us the cost of cleaning, etc. And we can promote also by beautiful image, saying that in this and that hotel. And we explained that to Carlo. And Carlo did the same with also our team in Milan. And Four Seasons received the message and say yes. So in the middle of the Four Seasons Via Jesus, just near Monte Napoleone, we made this show outside, in the garden. And to try to keep the idea of garden, to give the freshness of freedom, it was the 15th of July. The lockdown was finished on the 14th of July. And we said, show and fashion has to be alive. Fashion is about skin. It's about my image, but not only. It's about how I feel inside my clothes. It's how I look, but I look the reality of it. So it cannot be fake. It cannot be only virtual. It has to be real. It has to be worn by human, and it has to be women who are happy to wear it. So we made this show with audience, with absolutely respecting the distance between each person, between each model in the backstage too. It was very complicated, but now we masterize this thing. It's on the show outside, and thinking that in this garden, it would be nice to have another view. We begin to speak about having a drone. And because we're outside, police allowed us to have a drone on a specific space. So we had these drones which were filming from Paolo Pucci team, the show from the top. And it was very beautiful to see the movement of the model in the alley with the green, with the garden chairs, and the music. The music cannot be recorded. We are outside. So we had real musician playing Ennio Morricone, because Morricone just left us for heaven. He is now playing with the angels. And this show happened, make understand also this absolute connection to brand, of this freshness of freedom finder, because we were sure that it was over, then we can be in a normal life. Normal life meaning hugging and sharing and seeing friends. After this, well, we've been able to make another show inside the garage, and that was a bit strange in a way, because we had to be in the garden, and everything about meteorology say, even we had contact in meteorology on the army, on the airplane, etc. in Milan, in France, in Europe, and everything was sunny, clean, until 1 week before the show. 1 week before the show, wind changed. And they said, it's going to rain. It's going to rain during 5 days. And our show, we're doing this 5 days. So we decided to go back to the garage. Driving to the garage, and I say, well, we need to bring something fresh from the outside. We need something Italian. And though Veronica, eTRO, say, I love all these lemon trees and orange trees. So we took oak trees, we took orange trees, lemon trees, and everything in beautiful pots, and put that as a set where model came through and in front. And it was with a light here, very worked as a Sicilian light, like this a little bit more warm, a little bit more with a light amber inside, this mix with light blue and light amber. It was a beautiful, warm show where you feel empathy and you feel happiness again. Then we had to close, having shows, and that the shows need to be without audience. Finding a space in Milan, which was a space industrial with 130 meter long. The goal of this, having a long space, was to have more opportunity to shoot, directing the video, to be able to have different angles of camera who can grab the models and the details of the clothes. But industrial was not the mood. The mood has to be in absolute happiness. The mood had to be in warmth again and colors. So because there was windows directing to the east, and so the sun was coming in, and so it was projecting the window, the glass, on the floor with a beautiful rectangular, I proposed to have colors which are from a deep, deep red, a saturated red, to a rust, to a light amber, to a yellow, and then even a light green. So when you are front wall, you have all these declination of colors who give already not a feeling of art, not a feeling of installation, but a feeling of warmth, a feeling of, yes, a happiness, of calm. Basically, made the show inside, and with the beginning, we made several shows to have several good images, and because the absence of audience, offer us the opportunity to put the camera in the middle of the runway and to really follow the model with camera, and so to have amazing image and more even alive. But didn't have a real finale. It was such a sunny day. I was going down and up, and then we spoke and said with Carol, why don't we make a finale with all the models go outside in the street? And it was decided in the morning, and then in the afternoon, during the show, we made a finale with all the models going down the stairs. We were on the first floor, I said, and going in the street. We just blocked the street for 10 minutes. This image of all the models walking was so natural for the situation, but it was so an answer to say, hey, let's be happy, let's be together, with all the colors walking, let's be free. It's going to happen back. Let's get hope that it was a beautiful closing of the show. Then we had to do the women's show. And the women's show, I want to say has to do, is because the challenge here is the brand, a space, an image. How to make things absolutely not repetitive, but at the same time, absolutely related to the brand. Here was the women collection. And the women collection was supposed to be very, very colorful. The one with the color from the window was the man collection. So between the colors windows, you have this black projection where the texture and the colors can be seen. But here for the woman collection, you cannot go through colors. So I had to work on the idea of black and white. And from black and white has to go on the idea that let's take one of the motif that eTRO is very belonging to the DNA, which is the cashmere leaf. And from this cashmere leaf, black and white, for a piece of their fabric, the architect in the Eyesight production rework on it to simplify it, and make it bigger. And so, at the moment of simplification, it becomes to be more like a graphic element which you feel was masterized, but don't really recognize it. You have this line of black on the gray concrete, and you only see on the back wall the real shape. So we made a project of painting the floor with stencil, with a French-Italian artist, the one who have made the mapmon, the word in shark in colors on the first main show we made together, and we painted in black these shapes. So when you're front, you don't recognize really the shapes. You have more something very modern and graphic, and plus you have the projection of the sun with the windows clear also on the floor, which make uplight the model when they come. I may say also that because we are alone, and because the space had this geometry and length, I propose we had 3 runways, and so June Guyensan in charge of such a lot in the production, but also call the models with a different timing, and the model were coming on one line and coming back on their left, meaning that at the moment you had 6 model almost on the same line crossing, got 3 going one. So it gives a lateral shoot, which was hyper poetic. Another point was the music here. We spoke about the music a month before. Said we have, and they said that they have a friend, Veronica, which is Alisa. It's an amazing, beautiful voice and beautiful music, living in LA. Impossible to come. So we had Paolo Pucci team shooting in LA, her singing and shooting her also, giving us her welcome. And we integrate in the editing in a way that you look like a clip, but at the same time, it's the most simple as possible. Focus on the beauty of her voice, beauty of the rhythm. What I would say, end of the day, on this experience is really that even if the spaces have changed, the flavor, the taste of the DNA of eTRO, of the emotion, of the experience of mixing of cultures and beauty of colors together are elements which are used to create each show. The goal is, if you see one of these show now, you cannot see another brand than eTRO. Thank you.